Hello and welcome to the Advanced Musician Guide. In this video I will be covering the best way to play the musician class and going over the different types of instruments you can play as of version 0.14.8. I'd also like to give a quick shout out to everyone in the background footage of this video, where we did a round where everyone was nothing but musicians. If you want to be part of my community events and other various things, make sure to join my Discord server. No more stalling, let's get on with the video. Just really quickly, before we go over the first item, we should talk about the metronome and how the bar works for the fife and drums. When you play the fife or drums, you need to click on the beat with the metronome to keep a little white bar filled. When you have the bar empty, your instrument buff is not given, and when it's full, the buff is fully given. Now some people do question whether it being partially charged means it still provides the full buff. Unfortunately, the answer is no. However, this doesn't mean you don't give them the buff, it just buffs them slightly less than if it were to be full. The way I tested this was with the fifer to see how fast I would reload if a fifer next to me kept their bar full versus if they kept their bar partially charged the whole time. After several tests, the partial charge was always slightly slower by 0.5 seconds to a full second. So just remember that you want to keep your bar filled at all times so your teammates will be getting the most they can from you. Starting off with the fifer, your instrument provides two buffs. The first buff is that all players within 50 studs of you reload 20% faster. And the second buff is that sappers repair structures 20% faster. Now I want to make it clear, this does not mean that the sappers swing their hammers 20% faster. What this really means is every time the sapper hits a structure with their hammer, it repairs 20% more. Also, the fife does not buff people reloading cannons, contrary to popular belief. The other important thing to know about the fifer is that you should be sticking near anyone who is reloading their gun often, especially in the backlines. The only reason you should be near the front is for sappers to repair faster. The drums are a pretty simple item. They make all melee weapons swing 35% faster. The only exception is the musket's bayonet, which for some reason is not buffed by the drums. But let's be honest, if the bayonet swung any faster, it'd be a bit too overpowered. As for positioning, you should be near the front with your teammates who are fighting the zombies. This is pretty obvious since you make their melee weapons swing faster, which wouldn't be very helpful to the people shooting their guns in the back. Overall, the drums are a very great instrument which can make any melee weapon better if in the hands of the right person. Now it's time for the fun part, the QuickTime events that come with the fifer and drummers. When you are playing the fife or drums, runners and viral runners will target you. And if you don't believe me, then just look at this footage of a runner rubbing up against a player then coming right at me. Runners and viral runners will stop at nothing, sometimes even jumping over barricades just to get to you. This is where your QuickTime events come in. You need to quickly put away your instrument to deal with the runner, then take your instrument back out and keep playing. Your goal as a musician is to be playing as much as you can and supporting the team. If you get tackled by a runner, and especially if you die, you are not fulfilling your purpose. To avoid having to deal with a ton of QuickTime events, you need to look to your sappers on your team, if there are any, and stay behind their barricades. Also, if a sapper puts down stakes, you can purposefully bait runners into them so they will die, which makes runners not a problem for your team. The only other thing you need to know are viral runners. These runners cannot be killed normally in one shot with your saber. The way to counter viral runners are to wait for them to bow their head when they're coming at you, then circle left or right and keep circling until you kill them. let's be honest, this is the part of the video people probably wanted to see the most. The Bugle is undoubtedly way better than both the fife and drums. This instrument gives players double damage for a full 20 seconds. Now, 20 seconds may not sound a lot on paper, but in Guts and Blackpowder it is a lot of time. However, this item, unlike the fife and drums, requires to be charged up similar to how the officer's charge works. The only major difference being that the moment the Bugle buff wears off, you can instantly start recharging it, whilst the officer's charge has a 20-second cooldown time before you can even start recharging it. This makes the Bugle a very reliable source of damage and can hold off tons of zombies for long periods of time. The first major tip is the best way to recharge your Bugle. Honestly, it's just fighting, but you can also get a lot of charge off zombies that are climbing onto boats or rising onto graves since they have super armor during those times. This means more hits and more charge for your Bugle.
Do you have no money? Is that why you're standing there like a dullard?
I think we all know the meme where musicians are playing their fife or drum next to someone being eaten alive and not doing anything to help. Yeah, if it's not obvious, please don't do this. Also, this does mean if you see someone getting eaten within reach and are unsure if your team will help them, you can stop playing for a second to save them. After all, if your team dies, who are you going to buff? Well, unless you're playing the Bugle, you can literally solo Vardahos and, you get the point. This tip is completely optional, but it's basically just a way to help you not get bored of the same 2 to 3 soundtracks your regiment gets. So now, I'm going to do an actual demonstration of how this works. So, as you can see right now, I'm a standard musician who has access to La Grenade, La Passe Cadence, Aux Champs, and whatever that is. So let's now say that I want to play the Irish songs. What you want to do, click on that regiment, and then you can click anything you want here, but I would pick musician, that way the next time you spawn on the map, you don't accidentally spawn as an officer, for example. Once you do this, click select, and then once you bring your fife back out, you'll notice that you now have the Irish song. And this applies to pretty much any regiment that has different songs. So Warsaw, I get these songs. For Germans, I get these songs. For Sweden, I get the Swedish songs, and so on and so forth. So this just helps you spice up your music a little bit more, that way you're not always playing the same exact music over and over again, which does get a bit annoying. I'm not gonna lie, the musician is probably the most overlooked class in Guts and Blackpowder, but it's slightly warranted due to the fact musicians are a very passive and boring role to play unless you are playing as a Bugle. I really hope this video does shine some light on some of the more fine aspects of this class, and maybe even encourage you to play it yourself. As always, my Discord server is linked in the description of this video, and I'll see you guys later. Bye bye!